Hey everybody, this is Eric Worre and welcome to NetworkMarketingPro.com. I'm here with another of our $1 million earners, Mr. Jordan Adler, author of Beach Money, my good friend, serious income earner currently, has a huge organization around the world. And Jordan and I have become friends over the course of the last couple of years, and it's been a really fun journey to get to know one of the really good guys in the network marketing profession. They say good guys don't finish first and good guys finish last. That's not true in the case of Jordan Adler. What we're going to talk about today is some of the, like we do with all the $1 million earner interviews, a little of the background. You know, what got you to this place? Because everybody wants to get to this $1 million level. Everybody watching this program saying, yeah, well, I'm a good person. Why not me? How long have you been, since the first moment you got involved in network marketing to today, how long of time has that been?
Well, 1981, I was at a garage sale in Arizona. I had just moved to Arizona with a suitcase, a guitar, and a couple $100, $250. And I was at a garage sale, and
so what were you, 18, 19 years old?
No, I was in my 20s.
20s?
Yeah,
okay.
I was in my early 20s. I had a degree in landscape architecture and moved to Arizona and picked up this book for $0.25. And it was the 10 napkin presentations by Don Failla.
Yeah.
Today it's called the 45-second presentation.
Yep.
And picked that book up and read it, and I had no history in network marketing. I didn't even know what it was, had never heard of it before. Read the book, and for whatever reason, something on the cover of the book, I don't even remember, got my interest, and I read it, and every page was intriguing, and at that moment I was like hooked on this profession. And I started answering ads in the classified ads in the Arizona Republic, and found a company that was
so you were searching. People didn't search for you. You were searching.
No,
for
I was searching. I didn't get recruited. I was looking for a company. I was a classified ad addict. I would read every day. I'd read the classified ads looking for an opportunity, and called a lot of them. And I didn't have any basis for sorting through them other than did it sound interesting or not. And it was a little old lady, probably 80 years old. I don't even remember her name, but she's the one that introduced me to network marketing for the first time in terms of a company. And it was a capsule that had algae in it, run by this really old, tall guy with a big gray beard, and he was the founder of the company. And I went to a church meeting. There were probably 50.
A church meeting.
Well, it was at a church.
Okay.
It was at a church, and I go there, and there's probably 80 people there, and there was a guy, a real fit guy, up in front of the room, and he was talking about the product and about the opportunity, and I said, this is cool. So I actually, it's funny because I didn't know anything about how to build a network marketing business, and I had no money. I mean, at that time I was probably making 12 grand a year between all my little part-time jobs. I didn't even have a job in my profession yet. What was what I went to college for, and I actually collected some money to run an ad in the National Enquirer.
Really?
And I got a P.O. box, which is still my P.O. box today.
Wow.
Expecting the orders to just pour in, and I didn't get any orders.
Not one?
Not one. And the ad cost me probably $400 for one ad back in the early 80s. Back in the early 80s.
I remember those days.
You know, I was going to save the world with this product, and then I quit, and that was my first time.
Yeah.
And then I did.
You quit right after the ad didn't work?
Right after the ad didn't work.
It's like,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, this isn't going to work. Never did the network marketing thing. Just try to run the ad expecting the orders to come in.
One side little note, a side little tip. If you ever have any trade publications for the network marketing profession, save them or get the back issues from 6 months ago or a year ago. Call all of those people that placed an ad 6 months ago or a year ago. Yeah. They're going to be looking for something else because they're frustrated that their ad didn't work.
That's right, because they don't work. Ads like that don't work. But I learned, this is how I learned, you know. So I quit that company, and then there was another one. It was a
But it was in your blood a little bit.
Yeah, it was, and 3D cameras and
wow,
the original long distance network marketing company, and I did a grocery coupon program and got involved with the big A company twice, and so I was in and out of companies for between 1981 and 1992. I was in 11 different network
11 different companies. Now, I know, excuse me, I know the answer to this question. but you're going to be shocked to the answer to this question.
I hope I know the answer to the question.
In those 11 companies, how many people did you sponsor?
Never signed up a single person.
Didn't sponsor one person.
In 10 years. 10 years.
10 years.
Never got a check.
Not one check. He's currently $1 million earner. In 10 years. So if you're struggling because you've only signed up a handful, you're way ahead of schedule.
That's right.
When it comes to, I just find that stunning.
Well, it's just the draw of the lifestyle.
You didn't have one person that took pity on you?
No, not one. I did manage to get a few people to come to, I got one guy to come to the 3D camera company opportunity meeting, and he was broke and he never signed up. And I got a lot of guests to come to the Travel Club. That company didn't last long, but I got a lot of guests to come to the Travel Club network marketing company. At the time, I was in the airline industry, so it was a little bit easier, but nobody signed up.
Right.
And yeah, but for whatever reason, the lure of the lifestyle that this profession can provide.
That was a stunner to me. It's still
yeah.
a stunner to me today. 11
Yeah.
companies, not a single enrollment. Your friends have to be saying, Jordan has lost his marbles.
Yeah, it's, you know, you hear people say, I burned up my warm market. They knew me as somebody that would get into a company, get really excited, would talk to them about it, they would shut me down, and that was they knew me as that person. You know, they never knew me, and they knew me as the guy that had a broken down car that sat in the street literally for 3 years while I took the bus to work. And they knew me as the person, because some of them were my close friends that would buy macaroni and cheese for 3 boxes for $1. Kraft
yeah.
macaroni and cheese, 3 boxes for $1, you know, and I lived on that and tuna a lot. And yeah, that's how
When was
they
the last
knew me.
time you had Kraft macaroni and
Oh,
cheese?
I love Kraft. I don't know when the last time I had it, but I still love it.
Yeah?
Yeah, still love it. Yeah.
All right, so you've gone through these 11 companies. Then what happens?
So my 12th company, and you know, here's the thing that, you know, I was looking for the company, and you know, it would be I get excited and then get depressed and get excited and get depressed, and all the while I was going to training seminars, I was listening to audio tapes back then. In fact, I started to have success when the audio tapes were still kind of out there. Today, you know, we've got CDs and MP3s and all that, but I stayed plugged in, and it wasn't like, oh, I have to do my personal development. I was craving it constantly. I would read and listen to audio tapes. I'd climb up and down the mountain in Phoenix listening to audio tapes, just feeding. Squaw Peak, which today is Piestewa Peak.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I did that for years, and they say when opportunity and preparation collide. And so in 1992, I joined my 12th company and I figured out how to sign up about 1 distributor per month. I went out and got
your first distributor. What did that feel like?
Do you know, I don't remember who the first distributor was in that company, but I do know that I got a rhythm going where I was signing up about 1 distributor a month. And it averaged, my first year I think I signed up 19 distributors in 24 months, and second year I signed up a few more, and over the course of 13 years I signed up 129 people, which if you figure it out comes out to less than 1 a month. There's 144 months in 13 years, and I signed up 129. And from those 120, and it was really just, I finally figured out.
That was a company, Excel Communications.
Yeah, the telecom.
Excel Communications back when telephone long distance was 10 cents a minute or 25.
30 cents a minute.
30 cents a
30
minute.
cents a minute.
People would switch out their long distance, and this company became a phenomenon.
Right.
And
there was a book written about us, and became a huge, you know, the company was around for 16 years, and company left me, I didn't leave them.
Yeah.
The technology shifted. It's kind of like if you were in the record player business,
vinyl record business,
and you owned the factories, and you had the employees and the loans and the infrastructure, and then all of a sudden one day you've got CDs. That all goes away. That's what happened to us. It doesn't matter, but the bottom line was that I figured out how to consistently sign up about 1 distributor a month, and then I plugged people into the system that was in place within our company, and I got really good at promoting the system. And really, that's really all I did. And then out of those 129 people, and these numbers are pretty consistent among every single network marketing top leader, you'll find the numbers are pretty much the same. For every 100 people that they've personally signed up, there's usually 2 or 3 that drive most of the business in terms of their organizations, and there's a few that do a little, and there's about a third that do nothing. And that just seems to be the numbers. And so in my business, it was the same thing. Out of 129 people, I had 5 people that drove 95% plus of all my income, and in terms of their organizations. And then I had 124 people that did very little. They became customers or they quit. And so that's kind of how, but the key was that one was my mindset to stay consistent and continually show the business to people, regardless of whether someone, if I showed it to 10 people and none of them were interested, that didn't mean it wasn't going to work. It just means that some of them aren't ready now and they might come in later, and I just need to go to the next one and the next one until I find the next one. And I did that. I just kept doing that. So part of it was just laser focus and consistently showing my business and meeting new people and introducing those, inviting them to take a look, and then consistently introducing them to my opportunity, knowing that some of them, when they expressed interest, I could then plug them in, get them on a conference call, invite them to an opportunity meeting, and then start to consistently bring people in.
Out of those 120 or so over the course of that year, or over the course of the 10 years?
13 years.
13 years? 120?
129.
129 people. How many of them did you know before you started that company?
Probably just a handful. Of the ones I brought in. Yeah, I met a lot of them over the course of the time that I was there.
You would meet people.
Right.
So people who are saying, well, gosh, I've been in like 2 network marketing companies, so I have no chance of having a future because everybody I know knows that I tried these other 2 things, so I don't have any chance.
Right.
But you had 11.
Yeah, and actually when I look at it, I worked for a major airline that had thousands of people. Some of those people I met, throughout the course of my career at the airline. And in the early days, my first year and a half or so, I would invite people from my job that I knew that were low risk, people that I knew that, and I did get in trouble at the airline. I did, okay, for doing network marketing and trying to manage a staff of employees, a small staff of employees at the airline. But I was being very careful about it. And the people that I knew that I could trust, I would invite them to go get coffee. And at the time, again, my income was significantly under $20,000 a year at the airline. And I did not have money to buy people lunch. I mean, when we would go, I could not buy people lunch 3 or 4 days a week. So what I would do is I'd pack my lunch, and then we would go and we'd go to a coffee place, and I could buy them coffee. Or if they wanted to buy my lunch, they could do that. And I started with a yellow pad and a black or blue felt tip pen. I drew circles and explained the program and gave them brochures and said, I think this is going to be big, and that's kind of how I started my business.
And over the course of those 13 years, how much did you earn, approximately?
$8 million.
$8 million. So 11 companies, not one recruit. Then he has a breakthrough. Sponsors over the course of that period of time, 129 people, and developed an income of $8 million.
That's right.
Now, that's a great success story. But then you had your heart broken.
You talk about the girls or the...
No, no, it's a different kind of heartbreak.
Okay, right.
When the company went away on you.
Yeah. So that was an interesting experience. It was very difficult, one of the most difficult times in my life, because I had thousands of friendships through that company, and I was traveling all over the world, and promises of a better life for people that were close to me, and all those kinds of things. And then one day I was at a seminar in LA, and we knew that there was trouble. There had been trouble for quite a while, but I had chosen that I was either going to ride it to the stars or go down with the ship, and I stayed. And what ultimately happened was I got a phone call while I was at the seminar from one of our top leaders saying it's over. I mean, we didn't get a letter. There was no corporate announcement or anything like that. It was just a phone call from one of the top leaders saying there's no more checks. And it was quite a shock, and I remember it was devastating. It was devastating, and I didn't know what direction at that point my career was going to take.
Talk about the drive home.
Yeah, I mean, I remember I was in tears with a very, very close friend of mine, and we were driving from LA to Phoenix, back to Phoenix, and my world was spinning. You start thinking about, you know what's going to happen in a situation like that is people scatter in different directions. Everybody finds different companies. People that were your closest friends, some of them you'll never see them again, just by the nature of it. And then, you know, being in a top position.
So it wasn't about the loss of income for you.
Not initially, but then I did have, you know, I had an overhead of over $20,000 a month at that point. And I did have savings, and I had some real estate that I'd purchased. I wasn't in financial trouble per se, but I did go through about $80,000 in savings in 4 months. And I did have to back things off to give myself time to rebuild, you know, with another company, if that's what I chose to do. So, I mean, it wasn't a thing where I could bleed like that every month forever. I could have probably gone for a couple of years. You just don't want to go through everything you've built up for that long. But so what I did was I went from two. Go ahead.
Let me ask.
Yeah.
During that time, some other companies offered you some
over
big
$1 million.
bucks
$1 million.
to come over.
Yeah.
And bring your team.
That's right.
And what'd you say?
I said no.
Why?
I actually there was a big telecom that's still in existence today. They had a budget of $20 million, and they offered each person $1 million to
20 people.
20 people, and 8 of them took the money. 5 of them are still there today, and they're doing very, very well years later. I chose not to do it because I personally did not want to go down the path of telecom anymore. That was just a personal choice. Not that it's bad. There's nothing wrong with that program. Those programs, I just didn't want to go that direction. And so I couldn't feel good about taking money and joining a company that I really didn't want to build.
Right.
And that's ultimately what it would have been. So I didn't go that route. I actually was offered a number of deals, different kinds of deals with different companies, and I chose not to go that route. I just chose to wait, which everybody said was a mistake. I chose to wait and really take my time and follow my heart versus trying to make a decision based on fear of loss. So that's just kind of how I did it.
So then you found a new home.
Found a new home.
When was that?
7 years ago, actually, last month.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you found a new home and started from scratch.
Started from scratch, and because of the friendships that I'd created and the transition that had occurred, without getting into the politics of it, I just chose not to go and recruit people from my previous company, because many of them were the people that, if I had done that, I would have been trying to recruit people from the organizations of people that I considered to be my close friends. So I started with people that a lot of them had never been involved in network marketing before. The great majority of them I was not in business with at my last company. Over time, some of them have come over with me, but in the beginning, I started sponsoring about one person a week, and most of them had never done network marketing before. Some of them had looked at my last company but didn't get involved.
Right. So over the course of these last 7 years, you've been able to replace and exceed.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, in about half the time, I've earned now with my current company the same amount of money that I made in my last company, only in half the time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. What do you think? You know, and I know today, Jordan he doesn't like to, you know, brag about himself. He's a humble man. And I think that's really cool about you. But you also live an unbelievable life.
I do.
You wrote this book, Beach Money, and if you haven't read the book, Beach Money, get the book, Beach Money. It's one of the best network marketing lifestyle books and also kind of philosophy books about our profession that's out there today. And also, proceeds from that book go towards a great organization. Give a little plug to Kiva.
100% of the profits from Beach Money go to an organization called Kiva, K-I-V-A. The website is kiva.org, and it's a phenomenal nonprofit that provides opportunities for entrepreneurs in third world countries to start businesses through loans. And the loans are then paid back, and then we can reloan the money back out. So we've helped entrepreneurs in some countries where they don't even have shoes, and they want to start a little farm stand, or somebody wants to buy a pickup truck so they can make deliveries. And so the loans go anywhere from $100 up to $1,000, and we've helped a couple thousand people start businesses all over the world. So,
nice. It all keeps rotating,
That's
going
right.
back in,
Yeah.
going back in. Well, the idea of Beach Money is this fact that you have a 6-figure monthly income, and he's got a home. You know, where do you have homes?
I've got a home in Phoenix, a condo in Phoenix. I've got a nice home in the mountains of Arizona in an old mining town. and then a beautiful condo on the Strip in Las Vegas, and then
Crazy, unbelievable, over the top.
and then a loft in the city of Chicago.
Loft in the city of Chicago. Plus, he travels around the world
Yeah.
and to some of the most beautiful locations ever. He's been on a lot of beaches.
A lot of beaches.
With a lot of friends, right?
Yeah, and that's the whole thing. It's like I envisioned, even years before I ever got a check in network marketing, I envisioned being able to travel the world with friends that I considered close, you know, and be able to create experiences for people that were fun. And that's kind of what the whole idea of Beach Money was. And network marketing gave me that income stream, that passive residual income stream that allows me to do that. Yeah.
Now,
it's no fun unless you can share it with your friends.
Exactly.
Right?
Going to the beach by yourself
Yeah.
versus going to the beach with a group of fun
That's
people.
right. Yeah, and that's what we're doing here.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So,
In fact, this afternoon we're going to be jumping on a helicopter and flying around the islands.
bouncing around?
Yeah.
Fun,
yeah.
fun. Well, one of the things that I've observed with Jordan that he is a genius at, and I don't even know if you recognize how much of a genius you are at it, but the idea of coming up with a simple daily method of operation for an organization that you can follow and you can teach, other people can follow and they can teach,
Right.
has probably, would you say that's been the secret
Absolutely.
to your success?
Yeah. In my mind, because I'm a very, very simple person, and in my mind, I can take a concept and break it down into a simple 3 steps or a simple explanation that will allow people not just to get it, but be able to communicate it to others. And I believe that when somebody says, I can do this, then they want to do it, and they sign up.
Right.
And then if they can explain it to someone else such that that person can say, I can do this, then that individual wants to sign up. I always like to apply what I call the 8-year-old test. And the 8-year-old test is if an 8-year-old can do it and an 8-year-old can teach it now, then you should do it. If an 8-year-old can't do it and an 8-year-old can't teach it now, then you probably shouldn't do it, because it may be really good for you, but it probably won't communicate through your organization.
Right.
So when I meet with somebody, when I lay something out for them or I'm explaining something to them, I want them to go, you know what? This looks good and I can do it. And then they go, I want to do it, because it's great if they look at it and they go, wow, this looks really good, but I'm not really sure if I can do it.
Right.
You know, if the person that's communicating is communicating in such a way that they go, wow, you're really smart, well, that's probably not going to duplicate too well.
Right.
And there are systems out there that are really, really good. If you're good in sales, so you're excellent at sales and you can close anyone, well, that's great. You'll sign up a lot of people. But the people you sign up, they won't be able to close everyone because they don't see themselves as salespeople.
Right.
But if somebody looks at it and goes, this is pretty simple, I can see this, I can see me explaining it to someone else, then they're going to say, yeah, I want to sign up for that.
So in anybody's company, what you'd recommend is that they come up with a simple daily method of operation of 1, 2, or 3 things
Yeah.
that everybody in the organization kind of agrees is, this is our baseline, this is what we'll do. You know, every day when I wake up in the morning, before I go to sleep that night, I'm going to do these 1 or 2 or 3
Yeah.
things. I'm going to stay consistent. The other thing that I think is fascinating about you, and it's a really good attribute of yours that more people should have, is consistency. Consistency. Some people will, you know, they'll get off to a good start and then they won't stay consistent. You've consistently recruited 1 to 4 people a month.
Yep. Signed up
For-
about 235 people in the past 7 years. I don't know what that comes out to, but it's probably about 3 a month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and that's just consistent. This month will it be the same thing?
Just every day, fill your pipeline with someone new, a couple new people. Meet somebody, however you meet people. You know, whether it's you like going to sporting events, or you go to your parent-teacher association meetings, or you like doing the networking clubs, or maybe you're on Facebook a lot. However you do it, just have a plan to meet new people all the time. And then get to know those people, and those become, you know, those people become part of your sphere of influence and your contacts, and you kind of constantly advance those relationships.
Out of those 200 and how many?
235.
Out of 235 people, how many of those did you know prior to getting involved 7 years ago?
Probably about 20,
20.
about 10%.
So 215 you just met.
Yeah, well, over time. And actually, I've figured out, I've shown my business now to about 2,000 people.
Right.
And from those 2,000, I've got my 235
Interesting.
distributors. So that means that there's, I don't know, how 1,800 people that didn't sign up.
Or said they were going to and
Or said they were going to, and they still say they're going to.
Yeah,
and some
exactly.
Of them. And some of them went away. Some of them I lost their contact information. They
Right.
changed it. They moved.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But most people tend to focus on the 1,800 that didn't do it,
Yeah.
instead of focusing on the 200 that did. Or it might be a case of you focus on the 15 you showed it to that didn't do it instead of the one that you signed up.
Right.
And then even after you start signing people up, we were having this conversation last night with a group of people down by the fire by the beach. You know, when you've got a group, let's say you've signed up 15 people in your company, well, it's really easy to get caught up. Well, I do it too, we all do, get caught up in the people that aren't doing anything versus the people that are. It's like working, you want to work with the people that don't need your help versus trying to help the people that need your help, because the people that need your help typically aren't going to do anything.
Let them ask.
Yeah, right, yeah, yeah.
There's this big debate inside of network marketing. Do you lead with the product or do you lead with the opportunity? One of my favorite interviews, the $1 Million interviews, was with Jeff Roberti about a year ago. And he talks about, and he's made $60 million in the profession, he talks about you've got to create raving fans, otherwise nothing else makes sense. Other people say, you know, look, people, you know, the product will be the product, they'll fall in love with that over time, but you got to lead with the opportunity because people need money. Where do you fall?
You know, in my last company, 13 years, 100% leading with the opportunity. Our product wasn't that enticing, really, but I don't even know that that matters all that much. In my current company, for me, 100% leading with the product. So I don't think there's one that's right or wrong, and I'm not just being a politician here. I don't think there's one that's right or wrong.
It has to do with the company and the product?
I think it's related to that, but I think you can have success either way, as long as you believe in whatever method you're introducing, you know. I understand the rationale for leading with the opportunity. The rationale is that if you're looking for business builders, then you probably should lead with the opportunity. Some people say that, and then some people say, well, if you lead with the product, it's easier to get users, and if they love the product, they're going to want to refer it. So I can see both. I just, for whatever reason, after 13 years of leading with the opportunity and doing the business that way, when I joined my new company, the natural thing for me to do was to share the product. Because initially I wasn't going to build the business. And it was so effective and so simple, and some of those people used the product and really loved it so much that they wanted to tell other people about it, and oh, by the way, you can make some money, that's kind of the direction that we went. And without ever, honestly, the honest truth, without ever showing the compensation plan, I had 40,000 people in my organization. I never once did a compensation plan training. We didn't have a compensation plan video. I never led with the opportunity and talked about the compensation plan. 100% leading with the product. People got excited about it. They would then share it with us. They would sign up as a distributor. We had to talk about how much it cost to be a distributor. And oh, by the way, you can make a little money, refer some people and things like that. And the business grew. That's just how I did it. And there was nobody to teach me. I mean, Damar, a good friend of mine, he sponsored me into the business, and he taught me his way of doing it. And I just figured out what worked best for me, and that's kind of the direction I headed, and it worked. And now, we also have people in our company that they are like, there is no other way to do it for them than to lead with the opportunity. And we're close friends, but we just don't see that the same.
Right, fascinating.
So,
one of my favorite kind of concepts is this idea of defining moments, these moments that change your life forever.
Yep.
I've had a couple dozen over the course of my 24 years in this profession that, you know, are sometimes they come out of tragedy, sometimes they're just emotional times, sometimes they're where you had to make a decision and how you had to respond to something. But as I'm talking about defining moments, one probably popped into your head, right?
I can think of a bunch.
Yeah.
Things that changed everything.
Well,
I mean,
if you
I'll
could
tell
think of
a couple.
one or
I'll tell you,
two.
yeah,
Yeah.
a couple of them, right?
Because I think those
so
are
one of
helpful.
them was I'd never signed up a rep in network marketing. I was in my 12th company, which was the first one that I'd had success, the telecom. And I was always, when I'd go to a meeting, I read this in a book somewhere, always sit up front. And so I started sitting up front, and they would see me come back. And the top earners that were up on stage speaking, they'd see me in the front row, and usually I'd have a couple of guests with me. This was in my 12th company, the one that I did start having some success. And after about 5 or 6 meetings, I started introducing my guests to the speakers. Even though I didn't know the speakers, they got to know me. And one of them invited me to a dinner after one of the meetings. And sitting around the table were the top 5 distributorships in that company. And I was the only person at the table that had never signed up a distributor, and these guys were all 6-figure annual earners at the time. One went on to make $1 million a month, but at the time he was probably making $10,000 a month. And I'm sitting around the table listening to them talk and just really taking it in. I really didn't say much that night. It was in San Francisco, actually. And I didn't pay for my ticket to get to San Francisco. Jay and Meg Smith paid for my ticket to get there. And that was a defining moment because I listened to them and their stories were just like mine. The only difference was they were on the other side of it now.
Yeah, they're just a little farther ahead.
A little further ahead, and they had all had stories like mine where they had gone to many companies or they had lots of setbacks. And I thought to myself, they're just like me. And if they can do it, I can do it. That was a defining moment for me. Another one, huge defining moment, which I don't know that you've even heard this. Back in the early days of our company, there was no customer service. There were 30,000 distributors in that company, and there was no customer service. If you had a customer service problem or an issue, you had to fax in what we called an Excel-ogram. And then it would usually take a week or so before someone got back to you. There were 2 people there that were taking those Excel-ograms and dealing with the issues that came up. And when I left my job, I was making $1,500 a month in my network marketing business. I'd been with the company for 1.5 years, and I left my job at the airline to go do network marketing full-time with the company, which was a mistake. It worked out, but it was a mistake at the time. The week that I left, the company completely lost my entire downline.
Wow.
Now, the people in my organization, they were still getting their small checks, but my organization did not exist in the company computer. And so I started faxing in the Excel-ograms because you couldn't call. There was nobody to call. And I had just left my job, had no income. I had bills to pay. I had to pay my rent, had to pay my car payment, no income. And this went on for months, faxing in, trying to get a hold of somebody, nobody to get a hold of. For every 1,000 people that would have happened to, 999 of them would have quit. I believed in the dream of the founder of the company. I understood the concept. I said, if this company's still around, and if anybody's making money, we'll get through this. I'm going to get through this, but I'm going to make money in this company. I stuck with it, and that was the company I made $8 million. But I could have quit just like I did all the others. I just
and you
learned.
would have been justified.
I would have been totally. Everyone would have said, you made the right decision.
No one would have blamed
yeah,
you.
Right. And I could tell you 5 different times, at least 5 different times in that company, that I could have quit, and I would have never made the money if I had quit. And that's what most people do, and that's why most people never make it, because every company has major problems along the way, every one of them. And at some point, you just make a personal decision, but I just chose to stick it. It was my personal choice. I chose to stick it out, and the result turned out good, you know?
Well, look these people in the information you've given so far is priceless, awesome, amazing. Look into that camera. There's going to be 100,000 people that end up watching this and want what you have. Want it so bad they just can taste it. And they know they've got unfinished business inside of this profession, and they know that this can happen for them. What words of advice would you give them?
It's so important to get really clear on why you're doing the business. And as cliche as it sounds, if you look at what options are out there, I don't know of any other option where if you have very little time or very little money, you can start a business for under $1,000 and have the potential to earn tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars a month. I just don't know of any. I have a college degree. Many of you have college degrees. Some of you might not. That's okay. That's great. Whatever. But I will tell you this. I spent, back in the 80s, in the 70s actually, I spent $60,000 on a college degree, and I had the loans and all that kind of thing, all that stuff that most people do. If you look at what you get after investing 4 years of your life and $50,000 to $100,000 in a degree, what are you guaranteed of? You're guaranteed of a piece of paper called a diploma, and then there's no one out there that's going to guarantee you a job. And then what's the predictable future of somebody that has a job for a period of 20 years, 30 years? What's the predictable future? Just look around you. And I thought, network marketing provides a vehicle that will produce an income stream, a few hundred, a few thousand or more that could fund anything you want to do in your life. I just don't know of anything else out there that can do that. Starting a traditional business, $20,000, $100,000 to start a traditional business, and the chances of success are very, very low. And not to mention all the headaches that come along, with that. And I don't know of any other opportunity out there like this that can provide this kind of potential. So the first thing you want to do is you want to get really clear on why you're doing the business. What's the dream that you have that's special just for you that will drive you through the tough times, because you're going to have the tough times. And what you need to do is you need to get around people that have done it, that are successful, get to know them, or at least read and listen to their CDs and audio, their CDs and their downloads and things like that, and really internalize that. And then there's so much we could talk about around this, but it's okay. I will tell you this: it's not easy, but it's definitely worth it.